Hello there folks, today we're taking a look at the game called Starscrapper Escape In. It's published by Hexy Studio and the designers are Filip Miłuński and Zalewski. Now in this game you are different factions hiring different mercenaries to go in the cave to mine and to sabotage each other and to be the richest, to get the most points basically. It has a little bit of that element of deck building, hand management and also multi-use of the cards. So let's take a look at how the game works. First of all, I want to mention that this is not a totally right setup because you will use only 4 out of 6 factions each game and you will choose them randomly, and so the 2 factions become wild colors for the purpose of crystals. I'm going to talk about the crystals and everything in a bit, but so you know that this is not an exact setup. So what is this game about? It's all about the hand management. You have those different faction cards, you're getting those in order to do various actions. Now this game is played until this token, or let's say thematically the mine collapses, or this token reaches one of those numbers based on the number of players, and then the game will end. Now there are 3 phases in the game. First of them is the starting phase, there's the action phase, the cleanup phase. Cleanup phase is all about just replenishing stuff. So nothing really interesting, but there's a starting phase where you can activate your artifacts that you have bought before, activate your leader, I'm going to talk about the leader a little bit later, and then you have the action phase where you take 2 different actions and you have recruit mercenary, mine crystal, collect artifact, or use a special skill. So at first you will have, beginning of the game, you will have a hand of cards, and as you can see, these are the levels of those cards. There's various factions and they have some abilities underneath here. So their level is basically their power as well, to buy the crystals for example, or to get better faction cards from the faction pool over there, or to get artifacts. So everything costs levels and these are the levels, so these are the numbers basically. And first of all, what you can do is, for example, you can recruit a mercenary. So in order to recruit a mercenary you need to pay a mercenary of exactly one level lower. If I have a pool here of mercenaries of or faction mercenaries, of level 1, then I have to pay level 0, which basically I don't have to pay anything. I can take them for free. So I take this one into my hand. My other action must be different from what I did just now, so I'm gonna do something else. So also the thing is that, for example, if I want to get a level 2 mercenary from the pool, then I have to pay mercenary or discard a mercenary of level 1. If I want to get level 3, I have to discard level 2. If I want to get level 4, which is the highest, these are level 4 cards, they have really great abilities, I have to discard a card of level 3 in order to get that. So that's how you recruit mercenaries, and you can do it only once per turn. Now what else you can do? You can mine crystals. So when you mine crystals, those crystals have different power levels. So these are also like levels and they give you points. They have the color, sometimes they will have the symbols as well. So this is basically for the set collection at the end of the game. For a set of different symbols you will get some extra points. Some of them don't have points, the really easy ones, but they give you at least this symbol. Now in order to mine a crystal, if this faction is present, for example, if there are 4 factions, let's say the blue, the purple, the yellow and the red factions are present in the game, and then the green and the brown factions are out of the game. Those crystals still are there, but you can use any color cards to mine those crystals. But for everything else, for every other faction which is in the game, you have to use the same color cards. So in order to mine this purple crystal, I have to play cards, I have to pay a total level of 3 in purple cards. If I pay that, I get this crystal. That's really easy. One of those things you can do, you can get a crystal. Now what else you can do? You can collect an artifact. When you collect an artifact, you don't have to worry about the colors at all of your cards. You just use your cards to buy one of the artifacts. So the artifacts have the cost over here, and so they have 2 abilities. Sometimes one of the abilities is just getting points into the game, and one of them is using it during the game. So when you get these cards, I don't have the faction cards in a moment for me, but when you get this card, you will cover one of the abilities. So when you get artifacts, you have to choose only one of the two. The other one will be covered up. You can get as many artifacts as you want, but with each one you have to choose only one of the two powers. So that's what you do. And also the last thing you can do, you can use a special skill, so basically use a special ability of a card. So instead of paying with that to something else, you can just use its special ability. For example, Minglers, I don't know, Digger Hino or something like that. I can't read that. But change the color of a crystal in the mine, it costs 1 less to mine. And this is the ongoing ability. Some abilities are immediate. Take 1 purple crystal of level 1. So basically I can pay for it to take it, but what I can do, I have 2 of those. So for the first one, let's say if there are 2 crystals of level 1 of purple crystals, I can do 1 for mining a crystal and 1 for using special ability, eventually mining another crystal. But these are 2 different actions, so I can do the combination of that. Eventually, once you play all those cards, and you don't have to play all the cards from your hand, but as you have played your cards, you play them in an exact order. You have to discard them in exact order you have played them. And when you have played them, they will move into your base. And the top card becomes your leader. And now, when at the start phase it says activate leader, that means that the ability of the top card of your base will activate. Or you don't have to activate that, but mostly it's good. So, at this point, I have done my turn. I put those cards into my base, and now the top card becomes my leader. If I have over 7 cards in my base, I have to discard to 7 cards, so I have to get rid of the old cards. They're out of the game. Now, instead of doing actions, I can do raid a base. What that means? That means that I can choose any player and get cards from them from their base. First of all, I can choose even myself. For example, if I choose myself, but let's say I'm going to choose any other player, or any other player is targeting me. Let's say like that. So there's John, he's targeting me. Now, what I do, I will take my leader back. You can never lose your leader, even for the special abilities. Leader is always returned to so the top card is always returned to your hand, and then John can take all the cards that he can take. So your hand limit is also 7, so he can take cards. Eventually, if he already has 5, he can take only 2 cards. If he has less than that, he can take all the cards from here. So you can take cards until your hand limit is full, and that means raiding a base. So you get rid of opponents' cards and you make them return their leader. So basically, at the start of their turn, mostly they will not have a leader ability. So this is one of the ways to do stuff. Instead of doing the actions, you raid a base. And eventually you want to get the crystals, different crystals, they will give you points. You will get points for set collection of these different symbols. And then you will sometimes get points from the artifacts, for example, worth 2 points for each 6 level crystal you have. Every time you mine number 3 crystals, level 3 crystals, you take an additional, every time you mine a level 3 crystal, you take an additional level 3 or level 1 crystal of the same color, or worth 3 points for each set of 2 level 3 crystals you have. Or let's say when recruiting, you may recruit a level 3 mercenary from the docks at no cost. So you have those different abilities from the artifacts. There are also some of the abilities, for example, so the level 1s are always take 1 crystal. So for example, it's called Subjugate. It's a bit different, the raid card's a bit different. Subjugate means basically attacking and destroying different cards, or the brown ones will give you a discount on getting the mercenaries, for example, and so on. And there are all the different, so you can get your artifacts cheaper, and all the different cards. As you can see over here, level 1, up to level 4, but level 3, for example. You can take up to 2 mercenaries from the bottom of your base and so on, so you can mitigate all the stuff and you can do various things with your mercenaries as you go. And eventually you will score all of these points from the artifacts, from the crystals and from the set collection. Also, one thing, when you raid a base, so depends on what leader has the raided base taken. I mean, like, for example, if John has raided my base and I've taken the purple leader back into my hand, then the purple artifact goes to John. So these are different artifacts. They give you points at the end of the game as well, some extra points. But also, these artifacts will give you discount on mining crystals. So you can basically, if you have a red artifact, you can mine this crystal for free. You don't have to pay a card, but you have to pay the action at least. So, and that's how Cave In is played. So first of all, components and artwork. I really like the art of this game. It's really nice. The mines are great colors. The only concern I have is that the artwork's a little bit too dark. I would have liked it to be popping out a little bit more, you know, having even more colors into it. Though I understand the concept, it's mining and so on. So components are nice, a little bit on a thin side. I mean, the linen finish on not on the cards itself, but there's a linen finish on the cardboard as well, all the different tokens. And it's also, you know, it's not as good. It can wear off eventually. It feels like that, it feels cheaper. But overall, it's good components. I saw that the Kickstarter version has the miniatures as well instead of the standees. That's nice because sometimes, I mean, the small concern is that some of the totems, the blue and the purple totems are like very, very similar to each other in color. But overall, a nice box, and so I give the components artwork 4 out of 5. Now we go to the theme. Though you kind of feel like you are in cave, you're mining the crystals. But because of that deck building nature and hand management, multi-use of the cards, when I get the cards, I'm not really feeling like I'm hiring merchants. When I'm mining, I don't really feel like I am mining. I'm just exchanging the cards for the tokens, which give me points at the end of the game. So there's a lot of that set collection as well going on. And it's all about the multi-use and exchange and converting this one into this one, mostly cards into everything else. So you use the cards to hire more merchants. You use the cards to get the cool part is the what they call the artifacts. The artifacts are really nice. I like that. So I'm going to talk about the mechanics a bit later. But overall, the art helps the theme, but the mechanics are so abstractish. So I give theme 3 out of 5. Now we go to the mechanics. I really like the game. I mean, I really like the aspects of using your cards, and then they go into your kind of base with the leader, and then at the beginning of your turn you can activate that leader, you can activate your artifacts. The artifacts are really cool. So the artifacts are, I would say there are 2 cores of the game. So one is the multi-use of those cards, and the other one is artifacts. Because the artifacts are not only the points at the end of the game, so they give you the scoring opportunities, and they also give you the possibility to boost your actions to do the chain reactions in this game. And that's really cool. The artifacts are one of the cores of the game, one of the coolest parts of the game. Without them, the game would be okay. I discussed it with my fellow gamers, and this basically, we're all feeling the same thing, is that without the artifacts, it would be nothing. It would be very, very boring game. So, and the cool part is that when you grab an artifact, you can choose whether you want a left or the right side of that artifact to activate, and then you lose either left or the right side, whatever you chose. So that's really cool. The other cool part is that I like the pyramid thing about the crystals and the cards as well. I like the system where in order to hire a higher level mercenary, you have to pay exactly one level lower. It kind of creates the strategy in those like it's right, like what should I do with that card and what should I do with that card. That's how the multi-use cards work usually. So I use this one as mining, and I use this one as special ability, but its special ability gives me a possibility to mine again. So that's also really cool. So there are 4 different actions you can make, but you cannot make the same action twice in your turn. But with those special abilities, you kind of get a cheat on that, you know, and that's really cool. I like that, all of that aspects. And the different factions, they have different feel to them, and you use only 4 out of 6, so the game becomes a little bit different each time, which is also really nice. And overall, it's smooth, and raiding the base where you need a card so you can raid the base on your own or the others. So basically getting away the leader from that other from your opponents, so they will not activate the leader on their turn, and also getting extra cards into your hand. Yes, you will not do anything else, but I like that. I like that extra choice to make during your turn, whether I get more cards or so on. And there's a hand limit as well, and there's a limit to the base as well. So there are some limitations that help it not to overgrow itself. So overall, mechanics are 5 out of 5. Replayability, because this game uses 6 decks and you use only 4 during the game. I mean, it has 6 decks. So each game will be a little bit different based on what are the combinations of 4 factions that you have. And that creates replayability value to this. But eventually it's, and also the artifacts, of course, how they come up. But eventually it narrows down to almost the same. You're trying to get those crystals because they give you a lot of points, and artifacts might give you points. The thing is that it's all smooth. The roads, the trip is very smooth, but on the other hand, it's a little bit samey because it's a little bit abstract. I told you there's not much theme to this game. But still, I think there is enough replayability to play it quite a few times. I give replayability 4 out of 5. And then we go to the scale. I feel that this game is not good with 2. At least I felt like I would have loved more competition. Plus, though, the thing is that you're kind of doing you're doing your turn on your own. Basically, it's like solitaire multiplayer. But the thing about the more players is that they have the bases. And when you want to raid a base, you have this choice of raiding base. You can choose. With 2 players, you will basically raid each other bases all the time or not. You know, there's not much of choosing with that raid a base action, which is really cool action, and I like that action a lot. That's why I would love to have more options, more players. And also the rotation of the crystals and the cards. Sometimes with 2 players, if you will not buy the card, it will stay there. So with more players, the rotation of the cards, of the decks and so on, the game kind of becomes, I mean, it doesn't take longer with more players because the decks deplete faster, which means that the mine collapsing goes faster and so on. And I like that rotation, and sometimes you look at that. So okay, so I have this card, I can mine a blue crystal with this card, but there are no blue crystals. All right, so but there are 2 players before you, and there's a possibility that they will mine, and then the blue crystal will come up, and you have this kind of anticipation. So it scales quite well, but it scales quite well in higher numbers, but not in lower numbers. So I give it 4 out of 5. I deduct 1 point because it's not as exciting as a 2-player game. So the total is 20 out of 25, and this game receives a bronze medal. I recommend this game. It's not outstanding. It's not like, wow, best game ever, but it's a really nice combination of multi-use cards and hand management and some really nice ideas. And even the theme, even if the theme is thin, it's still there, and the art is nice. The overall package is just a cool idea, and I like this game. So, Star Scrappers came in bronze medal. And thank you for watching. We'll see you another time. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all of that. So take a look at all these channels as well, where I post updates or anything like that. So thank you, and we'll see you another time. Bye bye. This channel is sponsored by Osprey Games. Check them out at ospreypublishing.com.